Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You may have just heard a few technical difficulties going on in the background there. But welcome, it is Monday. I'm Montgomery, and it's time for Mondays with Monte, regardless of any of that nonsense that I'm trying to covertly attempt to set up while nobody is looking. So today, I'm going to try to bring things back to the basics. Today, I'm going to be talking, assuming I can get these things working, my tools in order, because right now my hammer is trying to get at all of my fingers. It's after me. In any case, I'm going to be talking about jungling. And I'm going to be talking about not just any part of jungling, I'm bringing everything back to the fundamentals. We're not talking about fundamentals like ganking and warding. We're talking about why the heck do we even jungle in the first place? Why is it a part of the meta? How does it even work? All of that kind of stuff. Because the fact of the matter is, if you go out there and you try to find yourself a jungle guide, almost every single guide you'll find, even ones I've written, just assume you know the basics of jungling. They assume that you know what jungling is, the basics of how it works, and all we're telling you is like, oh yes, Jungle Teemo is the man. He ganks all the lanes. He gets all the kills. He wins the games. People are just really excited about some jungler that they've played for the first time. They're like, I'm going to write a guide. Or they've been playing a jungler for 100,000 games. They're like, I'm going to write the definitive guide on Jungle Xerath. That's the kind of thing that you find out there. But do they tell you about, why you clear the camps the way you do? Why do we even have a jungler in there? Nope. That's not there. And it makes sense, because usually most people who are out there looking for jungle guides aren't looking for their first jungle guide ever. You only ever look for your first jungle guide once. So most guides are catered to people who already know how to jungle. But just even remembering what the basics are, even if you're an experienced player, can be helpful, and there are plenty of people out there who they don't jungle, they haven't jungled, all of that sort of thing, and helping them is another important thing to do, because hey, if you've never done something before, getting into it can be a little scary. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to go over why we jungle, what even is jungling, and how do we jungle. Those three things: how, why, and what. Not necessarily in that order. That is the plan. So what even is jungling? If you've come here and you're just like, jungling? You might be one of those players who've just played the game for the first time, or just haven't really played at a high level yet. You've never encountered a jungler before, or maybe you've just encountered a jungler for the first time, and you're like, what the heck was with that guy who wasn't in a lane? Well, jungling is sort of like that. That's actually a fairly good description. Jungling is when one of the champions on a team, rather than going into a lane, just dilly-dallies back and forth between a bunch of neutral camps that actually exist between the lanes. You've probably seen them if you've played the tutorial for Summoner's Rift. One of the mini-quests that you get tells you, go here and kill this wolves camp. Go here and kill this wraiths camp. This is the blue camp. It is a dangerous thing, but it gives you a useful buff. All of that stuff happens. And it's those camps that exist between all of the lanes that are the jungle. And the champion will just run between all of them, and will get gold, get experience, rather than being in a lane. That's all well and good, you say. But why? I mean, if you do that, some poor person is going to be in a lane all by themselves versus two people, and that's not fun. In fact, that's probably going to result in something like death. Feeding, no farm, no experience, all of that fun stuff is going to befall that poor person. And it is definitely not easy to play as one champion versus two. That is definitely very hard. But jungling has a lot of value. For one, there are limited resources on the map. Every lane basically has a set amount of resources at any given time. It's just whatever minions are coming out of the base into that lane. You can't change that. There are only 6 minions per wave and the odd cannon minion. That's what you've got. Nothing more, nothing less. And all of that has to be divided between anybody who's in the lane. Usually 1 or 2 people. Usually. So when you can take one of those people away, all of those resources are funneled to the one person who's left. That's a lot of resources. So rather than splitting them between 2, it goes to one person, so that one person gets stronger. But Monte, you say, that one person isn't going to get all those resources because the two people are just going to beat the snot out of them. And that's sort of true. But the jungler is also getting resources. They're not just AFK in the fountain, they're killing those jungle camps. And while the jungle camps are not quite worth what's in a lane, they're very, very close. You get like 75 to 85% of the value of a lane that you're perfectly last hitting, mind you, in the jungle. If you're comparing somebody in the jungle to somebody that's perfectly last hitting, the jungle is 85% as good. 85%. That's really, I mean, that's rough. That's not an exact number, but that's a very, very accurate number. That's the range, 75 to 80%, depending on how fast you clear and all of that and the routes you take. And that's really good if you consider the fact that most players, even like fairly decent ones like gold level, don't usually get 85% or 75% even of the last hits in a lane. They're not that crisp, they're not that clean in their play. So the jungle gives your team more resources, and that's very valuable. But that's not the only reason why jungling is important. Jungling is good and better than having two people in a lane because the jungler is nowhere. How often does somebody complain to you like this? Mid was missing and I died in my lane and it's all your fault because it's all you didn't call missing. You know, they're all raging, they're typing in all caps. They're going to report you after the game because you're a terrible teammate because you actually did type missing, they just didn't read it, but don't bother arguing that with them because they don't care. But having somebody missing on the map is powerful because they can suddenly turn an advantage somewhere else on the map. When mid roams bottom or top, suddenly there's an advantage for that team. They can crush that lane, get kills, get experience, get gold. It's all good stuff. The jungler is like that all the time. The jungler is permanently missing. Nobody can call it. Is top lane going to call it? They don't know where the jungler is. Is mid lane? No, they don't know where the jungler is. How about bottom lane? Nope. None of them can call missing because the jungler is always missing. And so the jungler has this very enviable position where they can just go anywhere and murder anything whenever they want. Assuming the person is in a murderable position. Assuming. So that's why a jungler is so valuable compared to having two people in a lane. Even though one poor person has to deal with two if there isn't a jungler on the enemy team, the jungler can bring their team big advantages even though that one person is going to have a hell of a time. As long as that one person just kind of doesn't freak out, which honestly can be kind of hard if you're at the level of play where jungling's not a sure thing. As long as that one person doesn't freak out, your team just has a humongous advantage. So that's why we jungle. But how exactly do we jungle? What is necessary in order to jungle? Well, there's so many different jungle champions that we're not even going to focus on jungle champions because pretty much every archetype, pretty much every kind of champion you can want to play can be played in the jungle at a viable level. There are ranged AD carries that can work, AP carries, AP bruisers, tanky bruisers, AD assassins, AP assassins, pretty much everything. Tanky supports, the only thing like are straight like wussy, really weak supports like Sona. You know, pretty much everything can be played in the jungle. So we're not going to focus on specific champions, but more general concepts. What is necessary to clear the jungle? I don't care what champion it is. I'm just a hypothetical person who's never done this before. I just want to do it. Just give me, just let me do it. That's who I'm targeting here. And so what is necessary? Survivability and offense. Those are two critical things that you need in order to clear the jungle. 6 viewers only. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. You 6 people, dear to my heart. But in any case, two things you need: survivability and clear speed. And the reason you need these two things is because unlike in a lane, it's just you and the jungle monsters. There's nobody else there to help you. It's just you and them. When you're in a lane, you've got, big waves of minions that are smushing together and fighting it out and all of that, and you can just kind of hang back and be like, last hit, last hit, last hit. That's all you've got, You don't have to do anything else. Maybe, you wave hello to the other guy. Hey, how you going over there? Oh, I'm just last hitting. No problem. Maybe we should fight. Nah. But when you're in the jungle, you walk up to, say, some golem or something, and you attack it. You're just like, you smack it. Does the golem just stand there and just be like, go ahead, just keep doing that? No, the golem's like, what the? It smacks you back. It starts fighting back. And so now not only do you have to, like, nobody else is helping you kill this thing. There are no minions there attacking it. You have to kill the thing all by yourself. But on top of that, it's not going down without a fight. It's going to smack you around for your trouble. So unlike in a lane, where you only need survivability insofar as you're fighting your opponent, here you're actually fighting the things that you're trying to get golden experience from. And so because of that, you'll see there are a bunch of things that are universal to pretty much any jungler. For example, when it comes to offense, every single jungler you'll ever see that is worth their salt is going to take Smite. It's the summoner spell that just looks horribly useless. You're like, what good is a jungler that has to take Smite? I mean, then, when you fight, they're not going to have a useful summoner spell. But the thing about Smite is that it absolutely murders jungle creeps. These creeps have a ton of health, and you're the one that has to kill them. Especially, like, really big ones, like the Ancient Golem and the Lizard Elder that have those buffs that you really want. Those take a lot to kill, and if you don't have something like Smite, it takes forever. And incidentally, the longer it takes you to kill something, the more it gets to beat the snot out of you. They don't get weaker as you hurt them. Up to the last dying breath, these things are smacking you just as hard as they were from the first. So you'll always see them take Smite. You'll always see them buy Hunter's Machete. Pretty much universally, Hunter's Machete. Why? Because it's 10% more damage in the jungle, and it gives you 10 true damage every time you attack something. And it's also very cheap. So these junglers, they focus on these offensive things. They even will take some offensive masteries, things relevant to them. Is cooldown reduction better for them than attack speed? Maybe, I don't know. But they'll take what's necessary to help them clear faster from the offense tree. And on the flip side, they're also looking at defensive things. What do junglers start with in addition to that machetes? They get 5 health potions. And why do they get 5 health potions? That seems kind of like overkill, doesn't it? Well, not so much anymore. Now that laners go to lane with like 9 of them. But they have 5 health potions. Why? Because they're going to be taking damage constantly. Nobody else is tanking for them. It's just them and the jungle monsters. So they need those 5 health potions in order to keep killing all of the jungle monsters without a break, to help them level quickly and efficiently, to help them get gold and experience. And in addition to that, almost all junglers will use armor seals. And why do they use armor seals? Well, A, seals are the rune slot that synergizes best with armor. That's the primary slot for armor. And B, everything that you're going to take in terms of damage in the jungle is going to be physical, which armor protects you from. And because you've got armor, it'll extend out the usefulness of all those potions you grabbed. And in addition to that, people usually go a little bit into the defense tree. There's a mastery in the first tier that reduces the damage you take from jungle monsters, and there's another one in the next tier that gives you 5 armor. More armor, always good. And that's why you need both these things. You grab both of them because the longer it takes you to kill something, the more damage you take. And if all you have is damage, if you don't have any survivability, like, the trade-off isn't strong enough. Like, you can't instantly kill any jungle creeps early on. That just doesn't work. There's no, like, I can just invest everything in offense and just totally glass cannon these things before they touch me. Does not work that way. If you don't invest at all in survivability, you just get pounded to dust super, super fast. So survivability and offense are necessary for jungling. And I highlighted a few things that you need of each. But that's not quite all. You can't just say, all right, I've got a good rune setup, I've got a good mastery setup, I know this is right for my champion because I looked it up in a guide. I don't need anything else, I can just go. That's not true. Because what happens in the jungle? Well, you need to kill things, right? But the jungle has rules. Camps don't just instantaneously reappear after you kill them. There's a timer on them, and so after you kill one of the jungle camps, it takes a while to come back. Let's just take a look at the map and see how this all goes down. So in this map, you can see that there are little alcoves here. This is where one of the jungle camps spawns. This is where another one spawns. There's another one right here, and there are some bigger ones in these bigger alcoves here. And when you kill, these are the 3 that I first highlighted are called the small camps. They're actually mirrored over here. You can see them all across the map. And these ones respawn in about a minute. This one here actually spawns in 50 seconds, and the others are exactly a minute, but about a minute is a good guideline if you're not caring about all the specific numbers. And so if you go and kill this camp, well, where do you go next? Because you can't just stay here. You kind of need to go somewhere else, and there's this one here, and there'll be one here. You kind of need to think about what's called a route, a path through the jungle based on when all of these things will respawn. That's a very critical part of jungling, is just knowing the path. And why? Why do we go different ways? Well, there are various reasons. Let's just take another look here. So these small camps, they spawn first at about 1 minute and 40 seconds. And then the bigger two camps, this one here and this one here, spawn at 1 minute and 55 seconds. So rather than just sit around waiting for these big camps, most junglers select one of the nearby small camps, kill it first because they've got time. I mean, it's not going to be another 15 seconds before the big camp spawn. And then once they've killed that, they move on to the big camp. And that's a very sensible thing to do. You start at the things that are there. You know, you're not just going to like wait for the melee minions to die before you start killing the caster minions. No, if the caster minion's low, you attack the caster minion. Same kind of deal here. Hey, there's this small camp here. Why wait for this when I can start with this? Very easy, very simple. But why do players move on to the big camps? Well, the big camps are really important because they give you a humongous chunk of experience and gold compared to any of the other small camps. These big camps give you like enough experience on their own to take you from level 1 to level 2. And on top of that, you get a nifty buff. At this camp here, you get what's called the blue buff, the blessing of the ancient golem. That gives you 20% cooldown reduction and a bunch of mana regen. And a lot of junglers really want that mana regen in order to clear efficiently, to be able to spam their abilities and kill things faster. Meanwhile, down here, where the Lizard Elder spawns, it has a red buff, which on your auto attacks puts a damage over time effect that does true damage, and also slows your opponent. And that's really good for, there's a big chunk of experience here. That helps your clear a little bit, but it also helps you when you want to go murder somebody in the lane. And so most routes will either start at one of these small camps, either here if you're trying to go for the red, or here if you're trying to go for the blue. Now all the small camps aren't created equal either. This is where the wraiths spawn, and this is really the easiest camp to clear in the game. But it's also the least valuable. Not by so much that you don't care about it, but because it's so accessible and so easy, it's the least valuable and the easiest to clear. This one over here is where the wolves spawn, and it's sort of in the middle. It's not super easy to clear, but it's not all that hard. It's also nearby the blue buff, so rather than truck all the way over from wraiths to the blue buff, most people will kill the wolves first and then kill blue buff. Down here is where the golems spawn. This is very hard to clear at low levels, and thus it's actually the most valuable of the 3 small camps. And so on the first clear, very few junglers actually touch this. Only very, very strong jungle champions can really afford to divert themselves over here, because it just hurts a lot, and it takes a lot of effort to clear. And while it is the most valuable, it's not that valuable. You kind of want to be healthy in the jungle, just in case some enterprising enemy champion decides, hey, you know what, I think I'm just going to sneak in here and see if they're low on health. You kind of want to avoid that. So the universal route that pretty much everybody uses as their starting point will start here at wolves and go to blue, because most junglers need that blue buff. And then from there, we'll go to wraiths next. Why? Because wraiths is the easiest camp to clear on the map. It's so, so easy. But then, having cleared wraiths, having used their smite at blue, it's not up yet again. So red's kind of out of the question, and golems are just scary. So where do they go? They go back to wolves. And why? Because wolves they're not as hard as either of these. They're fairly easy. Not super easy, but easy enough. And they're about to respawn anyway. Clear them again, get some more experience and gold, and by that point, smite will be almost up, and coming over here to take the red buff for the big experience and gold boost, and also to prevent somebody else from taking it from you. Very, very important. And by the time you've done that, guess what's respawned? Wraiths. And what are wraiths? The easiest camp to clear on the map. So this whole route that you'll see posted all the time, which is wolves to blue, then wraiths, then back to wolves, and then to red and wraiths again, that's not just some arbitrary thing that somebody came up with on a whim. No, that route is there for reasons. It's there because it's easy, because it's not too time consuming, and because it gets you those big experience boosts pretty darn quickly. So rather than just talk about it, let me demonstrate this for you a little bit. I'm going to show you just once, no biggie, what it's actually like to just do this first clear. And I'll go over my execution as I do it, so that you can pay attention to what I'm doing and why, and pick up some tips for your own jungling. So I'm going to just pull out my League of Legends client, and as you can see here, I'm just going to go into a custom game, Summoner's Rift. I don't care what the password is. Who needs bots? Team's imbalanced. Who cares? I've got Smite and Ghost. Let's just grab Cho'Gath. He is an excellent jungler. All sorts of fun. There we go. I don't care what I'm doing. Just want to grab Cho'Gath. I have the most awesome Cho'Gath skin in the world, although some people will fight me over that assertion. They think that Gentleman Cho'Gath is the man, and I'll admit he is very dapper and well-dressed, but I would rather be an unstoppable, terminating killing machine, personally. That's my preference. That's my preference. Some people tell me I should invest in a monocle and a top hat. If I could get a big suit of, like, robo armor, I would prefer that any day of the week. So I'm loading, and Cho'Gath is just a very safe jungler. If you are looking for somebody to play as a jungler, he's an old champion, so he's cheap, and he's just really good in the jungle. You don't have to be a super pro player to do well with him in the jungle. But I'm still going to point out some things that I'm going to do, and the reasons behind them as I do them. So I'm going to go here, going to buy my Hunter's Machete and my 5 health potions, and I'm going to run all the way over here to the Wolves camp. Now, why do we go to this Wolves camp? Because it's fairly easy, maybe not as easy as Wraiths, but it's pretty darn easy. And because it's easy, we're going to start there. It's also the closest camp to Blue Buff, and Blue Buff is very useful for Cho'Gath. It keeps his mana up, it reduces his cooldowns, and all of that fun stuff. He's a strong enough jungler that maybe he could do something else, but we're just doing the basics. This is, if you've never jungled before, this is the route you want to take. And I'm going to take Vorpal Spikes on Cho'Gath, because that's the best thing to take on him first. All of them auto attacks and that extra damage, very nice for him. Don't worry too much about that. Don't worry too much about the reasoning. Look up a guide. Most guides are pretty good. They know to take Vorpal Spikes first. In any case, so once the camp spawn, which is in another 40 seconds, remember, 1 minute and 40 seconds for all these small camps. That's when they first spawn. Gives me 15 seconds to come over here. Once this spawns, I'll start attacking it and talking about what I'm doing. But yeah, in the meantime, we can have like a dance party or something like that. 20 more seconds. We're just chilling here. Your allies would normally be probably waiting in the lanes because we're not talking about super high level play. This is normals. This is maybe you're not even level 30 yet. Something like that. You're just trying to learn jungling. You're maybe level 20. You've got your access to tier 3 runes and you're excited because all your friends told you should probably wait till you have tier 3 runes to try jungling. And they finally spawned and I'm attacking them. Now, one of the things I'm making sure right now is that my ability is hitting all of these creeps and that I have a health potion running. Once you've started taking damage, you really want to get that health potion running early so that you stay at high health, because right after you finish one camp, you have to go to the next. Now I finished that roughly in time. I've got another health potion running immediately. I don't wait. And I'm looking at Golem, watching its health, and I can look at Smite. It's handy dandy on the tooltip. It shows you how much damage it's going to do. So once he drops below 490 health, bam, there I Smite. And I have cleared the blue Golem, the big ancient Golem. And I'm going to keep running health potions because it's good to stay high on health. I could have hit that health potion while I was still clearing, but you really don't want to forget the health potions. If you forget the health potions, you can possibly die. So, trying to target my skill shot so I hit all of the raids. Very important to make sure you hit everything as much as possible. Hit another potion because I am a little low on health. I'm not at full. I really want to keep my health up. And what am I doing right now? I'm going back to wolves. Now, wolves have not respawned just yet. But if you remember, I killed them at around this point, and now they've reappeared. I can hit them with my skill shot again. I'm taking a little bit of damage, but I'm kind of waiting just a little bit to see how well I'm doing. Well, I could probably hit my potion. Don't necessarily want to hit them the moment you take damage, but once you've taken a couple bars, hitting your health potion is a big, big deal. So my health potion is still ticking away. I'm going to go ahead and take my Q next, get all of my abilities up and running. Might have taken a little less damage if I'd taken Q first. Throw that down, and again, I'm trying to make sure that my ability hits everything. And I can look at Smite. Smite's tooltip updates as you level to make sure that you can see when to smite. Just make sure to compare the enemy health against your smite. And I'll finish up with Wraiths. Why? Because they're the easiest camp to clear. And I'm finishing a little slow. I didn't use the same masteries I usually like to use exactly, but 4 minutes is really a standard finish time for a clear that's unassisted. And if I want to keep clearing quickly, I might take another point in E. I've got all of my abilities. I can go do something somewhere else. That is how that's done. So that's just a very basic clear. That's how it works. No big fancy stuff there. Just use my abilities, auto attack, try to make sure I'm hitting everything. Use those health potions on cooldown. Use Smite on the buff camps primarily because those are the hardest camps to clear. Those are all very basic things that people won't tell you right away. They're not going to put that in their guides that often because most people assume you know those sorts of things. But another thing I can point out here is I didn't need anybody else to just do that right now. I went into a game by myself. If you've never jungled before, you can do the same thing. Just go in a custom game, take Smite, get the runes and masteries that whatever guide you looked up told you to use, and just try it. And just go for it. Do your best. You won't necessarily execute it instantly perfectly. Cho'Gath happens to be pretty easy to execute. It's hard to miss his skill shots on stationary targets. But you might mess up a little bit here and there. Your auto attack, the area of effect from Cho'Gath's purple spikes might not hit everything. You might not use your potions exactly when you should. But if you just practice, you can find out all of your issues before you ever go into a game. You can figure out, oh, I keep forgetting to use my potions, and because of that I died. You'd much, much, much rather have that happen in a custom game where there's nobody there to laugh at you, to make fun of you, to report you for being a terrible player, anything like that. Just like, you know what, I just messed that up. No problem, no sweat, no pressure. I can just practice this. I can just make it work. It's easy. So when you have the opportunity, if you've never jungled before, or if you're just trying a champion you've never jungled before, or if you're just really, really out of practice, there's nothing stopping you from just going into a custom game and practicing for yourself. Now, in addition to all of the most fundamentals, but I would be remiss if I did not mention ganking. Now, what is ganking? Well, ganking refers to when the jungler comes out of the jungle in order to attack somebody in one of the lanes. And this is a very important function of jungling, because if you don't know how to do this, or just don't even know that you should do this, people are going to yell at you. People are going to be like, this jungler sucks, he's AFK in the jungle, he is terrible, and I cannot contain my rage! And they will report you after the game because they think you're a terrible player. When the fact of the matter is that maybe you're just a little inexperienced. But why gank? What's the point? How does this work? Ganking is so critical to jungling just because it's, as I said before, the big advantage of having a jungler, in addition to this resource splitting, is that you are permanently missing. Nobody knows where you are. And so, if your enemy doesn't ward, which is very likely if you're one of the players who's just encountered jungling for the first time, or plays in games where the question of should we have a jungler is relevant, if they're not warding, they have no warning that you're coming. If you just come at them from the side, through the fog of war, they can't see you coming. And that's the most basic power of ganking, is they don't know when it's going to happen, they can't plan for it, and so either they put themselves in a position where they're in grave danger and they don't even know it, or they play scared. And that gives your allies advantages even though you're not even there. So to kind of help go over ganking, I'm actually going to look at a game I played not too long ago to try to help you get an idea of what ganking is and why we do it. So let's take a look. This is actually the same game we were looking at earlier, and I'm going to be playing Xin Zhao. Now, Xin Zhao is known very much for his ganking prowess. He ganks very, very, very well because he has a gap closer ability that also slows, and he has a knock-up ability. So between those two abilities and just his raw damage, he is very, very potent. And a lot of people absolutely hate having a Xin Zhao jungler on the enemy team because it's like, oh no, they have Xin Zhao, we're all going to die, and somebody's going to run into this bush and meet an unfortunate end. And that's kind of danger. But don't worry too much about that. We're not focused on that. We're actually going to skip ahead to when some ganks happen. So down here, let's see, it's 2 minutes and 57 seconds. And let's look at the situation. I'm here and I'm emerging from the jungle. All my things that I might want to kill, they're all over here. But I want to attack bottom lane. So what do? Well, I'm going to come through the river here, and I'm just going to come at them. I'm just going to attack them. There's nothing super, super complicated right now. We're just going over the very most basics of ganking. We're not trying to be like super pro, awesome, beyond the shadow of a doubt, like top tier professional players. We're just doing the most simple gank in the game. I'm in the river, they're in the lane, I'm going to try to murder them. I've got both buffs, I've got the red buff, I've got the blue buff, and I just jump on top of this Vayne. I'm just going to attack her, I flash in to get the knock-up, we get some damage on her, and she escapes, and I took a lot of damage. Tarek got himself killed because of the tower, but that also gave a kill to this Caitlyn. All in all, a fairly successful gank. Why? Well, we killed the enemy carry, we lost our support. That's a good trade because that means that this Vayne is going to miss on all none of that creep score is going to be hers. Meanwhile, Caitlyn gets to keep farming. Caitlyn gets to have a level advantage. It's all good for her. We also got an assist. That's pretty good for us as well. So that's your basic gank. Now you do want to be very careful of these towers at early levels because they hurt like hell, as this Tarek unwittingly found out. But generally, that's just a very textbook simple gank. Come in from the side, attack who you want to kill. Hopefully you'll kill them. You will not always kill them, but so long as somebody else on your side doesn't get themselves killed for no good reason, it'll be worthwhile. So rather than watch me jungle, I'm just going to keep skipping ahead to times when ganks occurred. So here I am, having been clearing the jungle a little bit, and I'm going to try to gank this top lane. The top lane is pushed up to the turret. That's usually a very good time to gank because it takes them a lot longer to run back to their turret and be safe. But unfortunately for me, I'm clearing this camp first because I wanted to get some more farm. Always good to make sure you get your farm. But unfortunately for me, there's a ward right here. This Nasus has been very smart. Unlike some of the people you may face, he has put a ward down. So the moment I came into this bush, he knew what was going on. He backed off away from the tower. He didn't really lose anything for it because there's no creeps there for him at the moment. So I've been forced to back away. And that's going to happen to you sometimes, is if they've warded, you're going to come up and they're just going to kind of fade away. They're going to back away. And once they start doing that, you know that your gank has failed. You're not going to you don't want to actually invest in trying to like keep running around this way and chase them down because it's already too late. They're already running away. If I had kept moving, this Nasus would be all the way back at his tower before I could even get at him. It's not worthwhile. So what do? Very quickly decide it's not worth it and go off to clear something else. That's a more advanced skill, recognizing when you should just back away immediately or hang around. But if the enemy backs away from danger the moment you start to get close, that's usually a sign that you've walked through a ward and you've missed your chance. But it turns out that this ward is not going to last too much longer if we look at this small little white bar above it. So if we skip ahead just a minute and look at things from here, what's going to happen? Well, I'm still clearing, but this ward is about to drop. And so what happens when I come through here? Well, if I pause right now and look at Nasus' vision, Nasus can't see me. He can't see me. He still can't see me. Where's Xin Zhao? There he is. It's a little late to react now. I'm just coming right in. Is he going to get away? Well, nope, I'm right on top of him. Udyr is following it up. Is he going to get away? There's the ignite! Well, okay, he didn't die. He barely managed to survive. But that was a really dangerous gank for him. If I'd come all the way around, he might have easily died. I came straight in because I wasn't sure if the ward was back or not, but he didn't see me coming until it was way too late to escape that unscathed. And that's an important thing to keep in mind, is that a lot of your ganks are not going to end in kills. Sometimes you're just going to blow their ghost, blow some of their other abilities, and you're just going to do a lot of damage and buy your laner some space. But that's fine. Sometimes that's all you get out of the gank, and so long as you didn't spend 3 minutes in the bush waiting to jump them, you haven't lost too much for your efforts. So we'll just skip ahead a little bit again for another gank that's going to be taking place here. I am attacking bottom again, the same route. Let me back that up just a little bit so we've got a clearer view of what I'm doing. I just was coming through here. They don't have a ward again, so if I pause, when do they see me? When do they have the chance to react to my presence? She's up here. There I am, and if you look, by the time she saw me, we've got a triangulation situation. If I just run in this straight line, and she just runs in this straight line, I'm going to catch up to her, no problem. So what do? I just walk up, get her, she moves away, she uses her cleanse, I get shoved back, they take a bunch of damage, the gank is over. Did I accomplish a lot here? Well, her cleanse got blown. That's going to really help against with this Tarek and Caitlyn. They're going to be like, hey, her cleanse is gone. If we stun her, she's dead. She took a lot of damage. She's now in a much worse position compared to these two. And I didn't spend too much time. I just kind of ran straight in, ganked, and now I'm leaving. Efficiency, time efficiency, is a very important thing for a jungler. Don't waste your time. Just go. Just be efficient, and things will help you up very much. I mean, I'm a little bit behind this Warwick in terms of levels, because he's been doing just straight clearing, and I have not. But because I've just been very, very efficient with my ganks, I just go in, go out, I'm done. I'm sort of half keeping up. I'm still very close to him. I'm almost level 5, in fact. He's only a little bit ahead of me. Not too much. So rather than hang around on this, actually, I'm going to be ganking again very shortly here. I'm moving towards the mid lane. I want to gank mid. But again, guess what's right here? There's a ward. And so this Lux knows I just walked around there. She knows I'm right here. So she saw me. There's no real point to this anymore. I'm not going to hang around. I know that there was a ward that saw me. And there are more important things for me to do, such as get this blue buff off the table. So again, your gank success, even if you're a good jungler, is not going to be 100%. Ganks are not going to be guaranteed to end in a kill, because some players are better than others, and some players ward, and some players, even without wards, play very safe so that it's hard to gank them. But if you never, ever leave the jungle, your team is probably going to be mad at you, because you're so much more useful when you pop out occasionally to attack Nasus, or Vayne, or Lux, than if you just sit in the jungle forever. You have presence, you control the map, and that's one of the reasons players have a jungler on their team. So let's look at yet another gank that's going to take place around 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Where am I? I'm coming mid. And why am I coming mid? Well, I could be clearing, but the problem right now is that Morgana is kind of in an awkward position. She's low on health. Lux doesn't have mana, but she's going to have more shortly because she's got blue buff. And in order to make sure that Morgana doesn't die, and possibly to guarantee this kill, I'm going to rush in her and try to save her. This is actually a very important facet of jungling. Just by running into the lane, nothing else perhaps, you can turn battles that are already in progress around. So Lux now knows I'm coming. What's she going to do? She's just going to back off. I'm guessing she may be in that bush, but I'm going to try to cut off her escape. Why? Well, because she wants to escape back this way. This is her safe haven. I'm not a blue side jungler. I'm a red side jungler. My tower's over here. So where's her safety? Right here. So by coming in this way, she doesn't exactly have a safe escape. So now that I've come over here, she has to decide between meeting me over here or running back towards Morgana. And so what does Lux do? Well, she actually runs towards Morgana. This is actually pretty dangerous for Morgana, but Morgana, as you might have just seen, dodged that Lux Q, barely, was shortly off the mark. And so I've now jumped on Lux, However, Lux got a very unfortunate Ignite off. Still, we got the blue buff off of Lux. We got the kill and the assist. And now she's missed out on all of these creeps, whereas Morgana got all the creeps that she wanted. It's not an ideal situation. Morgana died. If Morgana had been slightly more careful and just left it to me, had just landed the binding and been like, that's fine, I'm done, this is all that I need to do, she probably would have lived and Lux would have still died. But she was a little too gung-ho. She's like, we've got this, Lux, I'm going to use my ultimate, I'm going to get her. And oh, she has Ignite, and my spell shield doesn't block that. So Morgana died. And I'm guilty of the same thing. All sorts of people, when their jungler is present, when they're in this 2v1 situation, they're like, yes, we got this. I just died. I forgot I only had 1 health bar. Oof. You kind of want to be a little bit more careful than that. Just a little bit. But there's all sorts of types of ganks. You've seen me, I've ganked the mid lane, I've ganked the bottom lane, I've ganked the top lane, I've been ganking all over the place. Xin Zhao happens to be a very good champion for that. He's awesome. No skill shots involved in his ganks. If you were playing Cho'Gath, you'd have to at least aim your Rupture. It's really, that can be a little hard. But ganking is something that you do have to practice. It's not something, you're not going to instantly know which of these situations is really, really the best time to gank. As you can tell, sometimes I didn't know where, Nasus had warded. I didn't know where Lux had warded, and that opened me up for fails. I just, wandered in, didn't accomplish anything, wasted my time, wandered out. Even though I was efficient about figuring out it wasn't going to work, it still cost me time, it still cost me effort. And there are other times when this kind of thing happens where it's kind of sort of a draw, slight advantage. But you know what? There's a psychological pressure that happens. When the enemy knows that there's a jungler who's ganking all the freaking time, that just applies pressure. This Lux has been ganked several times now. She's going to be wary of my presence. This Nasus has been ganked several times now. He's going to be wary of my presence. The Vayne, who's all the way back here, she's been ganked several times. She's going to be wary of my presence. And if I decide that I need to farm for the next 2 minutes, so long as none of my lanes are in deep trouble, all of these other lanes are going to play very safe because they're going to be worried about jungle ganks. So we're going to keep looking at more ganks because the more of these I show you, the more of an idea you'll have, the better you'll understand ganks. So I have left mid because I probably failed to gank there. And where am I heading? I'm heading bottom. And why am I heading bottom? Because these 2 people are in trouble. There are 3 people here. There is a Warwick, there is a Vayne, and there is a Leona. And they're like, we're going to get these guys. They're low enough on health that especially 12 minutes into the game, there is a threat of a tower dive. If Warwick decides to ult Taric right now, yeah, Warwick's going to take some damage from this turret, but that's no problem. Vayne will just keep attacking this Taric and probably kill him. So I am rushing down there in order to try to save them. Taric is barely surviving. I am rushing in. Is Caitlyn going to live? Oh, she's getting the attack off. Warwick overstayed his welcome and died to the turret, but what am I doing? I'm going after this Vayne, and all of a sudden this is turning around. Vayne would have gotten away, and probably, let me rewind that and look at this a little bit slower so I can talk it through a little bit more thoroughly. Just a little bit more thoroughly here. So, speed up to the point where stuff is happening. Some combat has already taken place. This Taric has taken a lot of damage. We can hide some stuff to get a better view. Here comes the Warwick ultimate. Just a slight misplay by Leona, not realizing that they were going to dive immediately. If she had attacked Taric at this point, Taric would be dead right now. Warwick is overstaying his welcome a little bit. He kind of wants to start dodging out right now because he's got about 3 tower hits left in him. There's 1 tower hit. Oh, he's healed a little bit. He really wants this Caitlyn. There's 2 tower hits. This is a big issue. Is he going to live? Caitlyn gets 1 auto attack off, does the damages. There is 3. So that was not very good play by Warwick to stick around that long. He should have tried to just leave it to Leona. And why is Vayne not with them? Vayne's not with them because she saw the big, nasty enemy jungler coming. If I had not been coming, if I had not even, just by coming, I haven't even attacked anything yet, but just by coming, Vayne pulled back, knowing that what was going to happen? If she stayed, I was going to murder her. And as a result, Taric's still alive, Caitlyn's still alive, Warwick is dead, and I'm coming after this Vayne. So what's going to happen down here? Well, I'm going to charge onto Vayne and start attacking her. Meanwhile, up here, Leona is now 1v2 plus a tower. So she does kill Caitlyn, largely because Caitlyn accidentally fail-netted in the wrong direction. But now I'm all over this Vayne. She's taking the damages. She's got the red buff on her. She's running in a direction that surely means death. She's not going to be able to kill me faster than I can kill her, even with her mad kiting skills that she's now displaying. She's got a potion running. I don't have a potion running, but I'm okay. Tarek, however, is being silly. If he landed this auto attack, he would live. Just a note, if you're going to commit to something like this, if you're going to go full derp and attack somebody when you have no health, just finish the attack, because he would actually probably have killed her. But instead he cancelled it, so when I auto-attacked her, it would have killed her before she auto-attacked. But instead everybody dies. But still, this is a good result for us, even though it's 3 for 2. We got 3 kills, they got 2. But they all died. I didn't. In the end, it's good for us. I'm going to get all this farm as well, and that's a good result for my team. Why? Well, I didn't gank this lane, per se, but I counter-ganked. The gank was already in progress. Warwick was attacking them. He probably should have ulted sooner. But because I just rushed to try to save them, I turned it around and made things good for my team. A lot of the time, as a jungler, you can just do good things for your team, not by even ganking, but just by rushing very quickly to the aid of a lane that is being ganked the moment it happens. If you wait to finish whatever camp you're clearing, you'll get there too late. Just zoom over there. Do what you can immediately in order to make things happen. So let's bring back the scoreboard here, and let's fast forward again to right about here for yet another gank. If you're getting tired of ganks, I'm sorry, but for people who have never ever ganked before, as many ganks as I can show you, that is what I am going to do, because there's nothing like just examples. I can talk to you all day about what ganks are and how to execute them, but seeing them happen and me explaining them as they happen is just the best. Now here's a very classic case of player who's trying to get better. Nasus is really good about putting down wards, and I'm going to applaud the crap out of him for that. It's just, you know, ward's awesome. He's even adapted to the fact that I've come this way a few times. He's not putting it in the tri-brush. He's putting it here so that he can have warning of my coming. Good Nasus. Awesome. I am proud of you, sir. The problem, however, is that Nasus isn't paying attention. He can actually see me right now. Right now, he knows like he could tell if he was looking, he would know I'm there. If he's looking, he'd know I'm there. He only realizes that I'm there now. I was already all the way over here before he realized that I had been seen by his ward. If he'd seen me when I was all the way down here, he had enough time to back away and not be in danger. Maybe if the ward was just a little bit further down this way, because you can, if it's over here, you actually get a little bit more vision. You still get to see all the way to the tri-brush, but you get a lot of vision. It's good. It might have helped him a little bit more, but still, he wasn't watching his ward, and because he wasn't watching the minimap, he is now in this unenviable position. And what's going to happen to this Nasus? Well, he's trying to be clever. He's running in a non-orthodox direction. I accidentally attacked a minion to knock them up instead of him, but in doing so, I was able to knock him around a bit. He does manage to die to my red buff. That's bad for him. When somebody's overextended, and if he hadn't had a ward, it would have been much the same. He would have died. When people push up, they're in danger. Even with a ward, if you don't react fast, you can be in deep trouble, and that's why a jungler is strong. Even with wards, if they're not paying attention to them, and if you know where they are, you can catch people unawares and punish them. Now, unfortunately, because I'm ganking top, blue team's going to take this dragon. We'll kill this tower over here, and so that's kind of an even trade. A little bit in our favor because of the gank, but that's sometimes how it goes. Sometimes you'll have a successful gank, and in the end, it just kind of comes out a little even. I mean, he ganked bottom at the same time and killed Tarek, so Tarek, you know, a kill for blue team and a dragon, and a kill for red team and a turret. That's kind of an even exchange. Sometimes that happens. Not a whole lot you can do about it. Let's look at one final gank here, around the 19-minute mark. See what's going on here. So where am I going? Well, I'm going to go up here. Why? Because he's pushed out again, and I want to try to save this turret, except I'm too slow because Nasus absolutely murders turrets. And he kind of did not react fast enough here again. I was very visible before then. I don't know if he just wasn't scared of me, but I am by myself. But I am also very, very fed. At this point in the game, I am 4-0-3. I've got almost as much farm as Warwick. Our team's pretty darn far ahead, so he should be a little bit more scared than he is. But the important thing right now, he doesn't have a tower. So he did wither me. Nasus has that overpowered slow, but I have red buff and I have a repeatable gap closer. I am trying to make this gank work as much as possible. I am doing all sorts of neat, tricky, experienced stuff you probably won't do, but that's okay. You're just learning to gank. No big deal. But because he's so horrifically overextended, even with all of his escape abilities, what happens? I'm able to kill him. He was here, and he's a really, really, really tanky dude, Nasus. I mean, look at his build. What has he got? He's got, like, 95 armor in his build. That is a heck of a lot of armor. How much health did he have? He had, like 2,000 health. He's, like, a super tanky dude. But I still managed to murder him. Why? Because he was really, really overextended. He was all the way up here when I caught him. If he'd had a tower here, he wouldn't have died. But he didn't because we killed that tower, and so I chased him all the way down here and killed him. Ganks can be effective even at the 19th minute. They're not really ganks at that point, per se, because the laning phase is pretty much over. But still, the power of a jungler is the ability to just come out of the jungle, come at somebody from the side or behind, and just ruin their day. So those are the basics of jungling, and I'd like to stress that practice is important. If you're playing a jungler for the first time, you should try to practice them first, in a custom game where the only person that you will injure if you do poorly is yourself, and you can just keep repeating it until you get the execution down. It's short. It takes like a minute to start it up. It takes 3 minutes or so to actually execute it. No biggie. You can even work at refining what you think a good jungle build is. If something doesn't really work for you, you can just practice it in a custom game, no problem. And then you can take all of that practice and apply it into a game, and people will be like, hey, this guy knows what to do. He knows how to jungle. It's really, really important just to remember that you don't have to practice everything in a game. Some things you can practice by yourself. So that's jungling. That is the show for today. If anybody has any questions, we have some time that I can use to answer your questions. Orbit Agent asked at one point, why not advertise on Reddit? And the answer is, as Miss Q has stated, I have in the past. But as Wave of Shadow notes, Reddit is a horrible, horrible, horrible medium for trying to get well known. If you're already well known, or there's something that's drawn attention to you, you can go on there and just be like, I'm that guy that you saw recently, ask me anything, and you can get people to talk to you. But if you're just some random guy who's doing a stream, people don't really care. That's the unfortunate truth of Reddit. So until I'm like some super high diamond player on like Team Monte is awesome, people probably aren't going to pay attention to me. That's the unfortunate truth. But I'm happy as it stands. I don't need like 3,000 people. The fact that there was 11 people watching, although I think one of them is actually me, so that's kind of unfortunate, but 10 people? Hey, you know what? If I help 10 people out there, that's good enough for me. Day 9 started small. I can start small. Doesn't worry me. Why am I not starting up Team Monte is awesome? Because I'm still... I've got so many things going on right now because I do this show, which actually a lot of work goes into this show, believe it or not. I don't just log on, I'm like, I'm just going to talk about this thing that I just came off the top of my head. I actually do prep work. And I've got other obligations. I actually work for a living. I've got 40 hours a week. That's, so I have a job. That makes it hard for me to both play the game well enough to know what's going on and do lots of other things like this. So if I were to try to like make an actual serious team, all the effort that would go into that would probably detract from this show. So we've got some other questions. Do the small dudes at Blue Camp do physical damage as well? Yes, they do. Everything in the jungle with the exceptions of Dragon and Baron is all pure physical damage. And most of the damage that Dragon and Baron do is physical. There's a couple exceptions like the dot that Dragon applies to you is true damage, and Baron has a couple attacks that do magical damage. But otherwise, it's all physical. The blue camp, the red camp, all the small camps, physical, that's it. What makes each camp different? What makes the camps different, and I can actually use this game to take a quick peek at them. If you look at the wolves camp here, actually, I'll just turn on, can I turn on full vision? Turn off fog of war, there we go. So this is the wolves camp, and the thing about the wolves camp is, there's 3 wolves here, and the wolves do a little bit more damage than the wraiths. As you can see, the wraith here, it only does 43 damage, and the small wraiths are only 14, whereas the wolves camp has 46. And the thing is that when you've got all of these little small dudes, there's that mastery in the defense tree. I need to actually pull this up so you can see it when I'm talking about this. When you have 4 things attacking you, that mastery at the bottom of the defense tree that reduces all damage you take from like just a flat amount, it's more effective against the wraiths than it is the wolves, than it is the golems, because there's only 2 things attacking you here, so you take more damage. And there are 4 things attacking you here, so you take less. The wraiths also have a lot less health compared to the wolves. I mean, if you look, the big wolf here alone has 1,700 health. The big wraith, only 1,400. These small wraiths only have 300 health. The wolves have 500. So any AoE abilities mean that the wraiths die really fast. The wolves die semi-fast, but not as fast, because there's only 2 small wolves and they've got more health. And the golems just have a humongous chunk of health, so they take forever. And if you look at the damage from the golems, pretty darn big. A huge chunk of 48 damage just from this one alone. This guy does 81 damage right now at this stage of the game. That's a heck of a lot. So that's what makes these small camps different. But again, the big golem gives the most experience and the most gold of anything in the jungle that's not one of these bigger camps or dragon or something. So that's the story there. I don't see any other questions right now. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. That is the story of the show. I do this every week, same time, same place. This Twitch channel, you can follow me on Twitch. I always start it up a good 5 or 6 minutes beforehand. That's the only difference. Just right here. If you're on the East Coast, it's 9 p.m. If it's on the West Coast, 6 p.m. Central is 8. So, is it really 8? Yeah, it's 8. So, that's how it goes. Miscue is alluding to something right now, just very briefly. It used to be that the wolves crit. I don't know if they do anymore. I thought they removed that. The wraith's just a lifesteal. That went down the drain. So right now, mostly what's just differentiating all these camps is just... Europe, it's 3 a.m. It's just the pure damage they do in the numbers and how much health they have. They still crit. Okay, I think there was one iteration of the PvE where they got rid of that briefly. At some point. I didn't know if that made it live. Oh well. So anyway, that's Mondays with Monty. Thank you all for watching. Have a good night and a good week in Summoner's Rift.